In this presentation, we will generate, analyze, print, and export to Excel a percent of expense, profit, and loss report within QuickBooks Pro 2019. For more accounting information and accounting courses, visit our website at accountinginstruction.info. Here we are on the home page. We currently have the open windows open. We can open the open windows by going to the view drop down and selecting the open windows list. We're now going to create a profit and loss report. This profit and loss report having a percentage of expenses. We'll start off with the standard profit and loss by going to the reports up top, drop down, going to company and financial, selecting the profit and loss standard. We're then going to change some options by going to the Customize Reports up top, Customize Reports. We're going to change the date range being from 01/19, January 1st, 2019 to 12/31/19, December 31st, 2019. If we say OK at this point, that'll give us our standard profit and loss. That's often where we start out when we're going to enter the new data. We've done some percentage calculations, some percentage analysis, a vertical analysis and a horizontal analysis. The most typical type of percentage kind of analysis is the vertical analysis we saw in a previous presentation, which is the comparison to income. And that would make sense because that's kind of like the goal of the company's income generation. So we would compare everything to income. However, we may want to compare everything to expenses as well. Look at all the totals in relation to the expenses, which can be relevant in particular within the expense category. So this is less common, however useful depending on what our needs are. Therefore, let's take a look at that. We're going to go to the Customize Reports up top once again. And this time, last time we chose percentage of income. This time we're going to take a look at the percentage of expenses. So we'll say percentage of expense. And OK. And then here we're going to have the breakdown. You'll see down here the 100% is going to be at total expenses. So that's what we're comparing to, meaning it's 16,638.48 divided by 16,638.48 or 100%. You'll also note that when we compare the revenue to this number, it's going to be higher because the revenue here is greater. So it's 115% of the expenses. And typically we would be doing the comparison here between the expense items. What's our largest expense item and what is the largest expense item as it relates to total expenses, which is another area which we can compare to other types of industries and may give us a different perspective in terms of what do our expenses mean. Rather than just looking at the dollar amount, we can say, what is the percentage of total expenses we have here? And obviously looking at it this way, we could see that the payroll is significant as of now. It's a new company, so this could change over time, but that's often the case where payroll is going to be one of our larger expenses. So for example, payroll is calculated as 11,562.48. If we divide that by the total expenses of 16,638.48, we get, if we move the decimal point over 2 places, 69.49 or 69.5. as we can see here. So that'll give us a comparison. We can use this comparison over time and we can use it to compare with other companies and try to see, well, what is their percentage of wages, for example, compared to their total expenses? Are we in a comparable zone in relation to the full expenses we have? And that way we can compare to companies that are larger and smaller in terms of total dollar amounts. And we can also compare over time, as hopefully our revenue increases and our expenses will most likely increase at the same time. We can look at over time, well, are these percentages changing a lot in relation to the changes in total dollar amounts? So what we're going to do now is a couple more adjustments we standard do. We're gonna take away the time, date, and time. We got the profit and loss, so maybe we'll add the profit and loss by percent and adjust this a bit to indicate that we have the percent of expense column here. And we'll take away the pennies and we'll put brackets in red around the negative numbers. So to do that, let's go to the Customized Reports. We're going to go to the headers and footers. We're going to remove the date, time, and the date prepared, time prepared, and report basis. Let's have it a profit and loss report, and let's add to it basically that percentage of expense. Profit and loss, we'll say percent of expense. And we've got January through December, so we'll keep that for now. We could say for the year ended December, but there's another type of terminology we can use there. Within the footer, let's put some name, just to practice putting something in the footer. So we have something in the footer on that, and then we're going to go to the fonts and numbers. Within the fonts and numbers, we're going to have paragraphs instead of a negative sign, so we'll put the paragraphs there. We'll make it red instead of black so we can really distinctively see those negative numbers. And we'll remove the cents. It'll still make sense, but it'll have no pennies, no cents involved. So we'll say OK. And there we have it. Get Great Guitars. We've got the profit and loss. It's going to be percentage of expense. And we've removed the pennies. We've put some red in brackets around the negative numbers to let it be a little bit distinct for us. And then now we can memorize this report. So let's go ahead and memorize the report. And let's put it into our special category we set up because this is a special report. It deserves to be in our special category. We'll select the drop down and pick that. Mine, Smith, yours, probably your name or whatever category you think is special enough for this report. Selecting that item, we're going to say OK. It'll take a picture of it if you can hear that and if you have that option on. And it has now been saved. We can find it at a future time by going to the reports drop down, scrolling down to the memorized reports, and then selecting Smith and whatever place that you put your report. And then we have the percentage of expense. So we can then go back to this at a future point in time. Remember that if this is your only QuickBooks file and you have a lot of memorized reports, you may want to group them in something other than just one grouping. However, if you're sharing with somebody else, then it might be good to first start off with just your name as compared to other people's reports. Okay, so now we're going to save this, and we'll export it to Excel, and we'll save it as a PDF, and we'll get an idea of how to group this data as we go, as we put this information together through this section. So we're going to save it to an existing workbook, an existing Excel file, as we've done so far. To do that, we're going to go to Excel, and we're going to create a new workbook. Within that, we're going to create that new workbook within a workbook. Excuse me. We're going to create a new worksheet, and we're going to put that into an existing workbook. And then we're going to browse to locate that workbook. If we select the drop down here, putting it on the desktop, it's in Get Great Guitars, it's in Reports, it's in Section 3. That's what I'm calling this section. And I'm just going to double click on that Excel file, and it will open it up for us, and it's going to add a new worksheet to that workbook file when we select Export. Here is our new worksheet. It's all the way to the left. I'm going to pull it all the way to the right so it's on the end. It's in order as we have created them. So I'm going to pull it all the way to the right. Double click on it. I'm going to call it an P and L percent expense. And then I'm going to go to the View tab. Let's go to the View tab up top, and let's go to the Windows group and unsplit the panes. So those are unsplit. And that looks good. We can then check in the page layout view, double checking that the title is there. So the title is there. That looks good. And we're going to go back to the normal view, and that is that. Now we have all these reports that we've done in this section. If this was an example we were going to give to someone, I would delete this first tab by right-clicking on it and deleting. And then we can give this workbook to someone other than just a bunch of PDF files. Or if they don't have Excel, if we don't want to give Excel, then we can go to the File tab and we can go to Print. And we can use a cute PDF printer or some PDF printer to print, changing the worksheet to the active sheet to the entire workbook, so that now we can print these 5 reports with one PDF file. So if we were to print this, we can then have one PDF file that we can then send to customer, client, employer, whoever we are sending this to. That's one option. We're going to close this back out. Well, it's 2 options really. Save this, I'm going to say yes here, macro free item. The other way is to save it as a PDF, so we can go to print. We can save as PDF, or we can print it and use the cute PDF printer or some other PDF printer, which is what I will do here. Here's the PDF printer. We'll go ahead and print that, and it will then give us the saving options. Same location. It's on the desktop, Get Great Guitars, Reports, Section 3. And we will name this then, we're going to name it a P and L expense, let's say percent of expense. So now we've got, what, five files after this. And if we were to do it this way, then we would have to, if we were to email it, we would have to attach 5 emails or zip the file, which would be nicer to have one zipped file. Still has 5 things in it that someone has to unzip in order to open that up. So just a few things to consider as we're sorting this information. So we will save that, and that will be the profit and loss percent of expense report. For more accounting information and accounting courses, visit our website at accountinginstruction.info.